You're listening to Little Rockers Radio, and today we're back talking to Maud from MaudBR.com. Maud is a counsellor and a life coach specialising in women and transitioning to motherhood. And today we're talking to her a little bit about removing frustrations, or more so not removing frustrations. Hi Maud, how are you?
Hi Sarah, I'm good, thank you, and you?
That's good, I'm really well. Maud, do you believe not removing frustrations in our children's life is important? Why is that?
Well, first of all, simply because frustrations are part of life. We face frustrations all the time. We face little frustrations like, having to wake up when we feel like staying in bed, or staying at the office until 5 when really we're done with the day. And bigger ones, when you don't get the job you applied to, or when we get turned down by someone, etc., etc. So frustrations are part of life, but they're not just that. They are actually a good thing too, because beyond them, there is the happiness of savoring when we don't have the frustration anymore. So think about when you save for a while and how much you savor this new thing you might purchase, and probably much more than if you simply put it on the credit card. Or to go back to that example of we have to work to stay until 5 p.m., say that's our case, and we're tired that day, we're bored. How much do we feel when we leave the office? We feel so fantastic. So frustration is part of life, and it's actually a good thing because it makes us feel very much alive.
And so how do we as parents then not remove the frustrations from our children's lives? How do we, I guess, not helicopter parent and allow them to work out things on their own? And why is it so important for us to obviously make sure that we're doing that for our children?
Well, so I often say that saying no is sometimes the best way to say yes. Yes. So what do I mean by this? When your child comes with a request, watching television, buying something, eating out of meal times or whatever, it's actually worth checking what is behind their request so as to know what it will mean for them if you say yes or no. So what can be behind the request? Well, there can be two types of things. There can be things like boredom, frustration, just in a happy state. Or there can be other things like their pure desire, their aspiration for more life inside them, like a life surge talking through them. So, for example, feeling hungry after going to the pool, it's like a real hunger. Or the desire to sing with TV rhymes and therefore wanting to watch TV to actually be doing this singing. Or the excitement of discovering a new adventure of their favorite character. Or learning to do something new thanks to a new game or toy they will have. Yes. So it's very important to be able to see what's behind the question. And then depending on that, your answer will mean something different. So let's look at the second category. So it's their desire, it's life, it's, they want to thrive through life, and that's why they want this thing. If you say yes, you actually mean in your yes that your yes, means you are encouraging your child to follow their deep aspiration, to sort of celebrate their own life surge and impetus. But if it's the first case, so there's boredom, frustration, and happy state, and you say yes, what this yes actually means is that you are recognizing your child needs external help to cope with frustration or boredom. So implicitly, you are actually telling your child you cannot cope with frustration or boredom. And that cannot be good for their self-image, although, of course, it's unconscious. But on the contrary, if you say no, you are actually creating an opportunity to show your trust to your child that they can face and survive frustration and boredom. So it's in this sense that I mean saying no to a request is actually saying yes to life, pushing them to learn and grow. Yes to them growing their resilience. Because what is resilience? Well, resilience is the ability to face difficulties and overcome them and become stronger.
I guess children these days are less used to being bored than again, and we quite often compare parenting these days to parenting, a few decades ago. But these days, children, there's so much more available to them immediately at their fingertips. that they do not cope with boredom very well. And I always say to my kids, it's good to be bored. Figure out something to do. Go and find something to do without me having to help you.
Absolutely. It's excellent for many, many different things. Obviously, it prepares them for real life, which is full of frustrations. But it's very good for their creativity, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very good for their ability to search within themselves.
And how does this, not removing frustrations, saying no sometimes and allowing them to be bored and figure out, find their own way, how do these sorts of things actually lead to self-confidence, increased self-image, and how do they help to build resilience?
Well, I said that saying no to a child request is an opportunity for the parent to show they believe their child can face and overcome their frustrations and boredom. So how to practically make this happen? I'll go through this to explain why I believe it leads to self-confidence and all of that. So it's very important to be focused on how we actually say no. Because if you only or simply say no without explanation, you teach your child nothing. It is how you will present your answer that will make that your no to their request becomes a yes to life thriving in them. So you can try first to help your child name their feeling by asking, for example, say your child wants to watch TV. Are you wanting to watch TV because you are bored? Or because your toy doesn't work anymore and you're frustrated? So just simply ask this question, and you will see it's quite incredible. I mean, it feels to us like, oh my God, that's a bit weird. But actually, they will take the question. They will take the question and say yes. Particularly toddlers. I mean, if you try that the first time with an older child, they might look at you and you're going mental. But a teenager. But still, if you are genuine in your question, wanting to know what's happening in them, they will like that you are interested in them. So that's the first stage. Once your child is clear about what they are seeking a patch for, you can then say things like, well, I know it is an uncomfortable feeling, but I also know that you are able to go through this frustration and do something really fulfilling rather than eating, watching TV, buying a toy. And I know that because I myself went through the same when I was your age. And actually, the second part of the sentence I found is very, very helpful for children because suddenly they connect and like, oh, okay, so you also went through this. And this is when you take the time to see why they are frustrated or bored, and you work it out with them. So you'll say, for example, okay, let's have a look at what you want to do, or let's have a look at the broken toy, or, if they're bored, okay, so you're bored. So what would you like to do, really, apart from watching television? And you can take them to their room and say, how about this or that? And I know we don't always have the time to do this, but it's important we do take the time to do it regularly. Because how do you think a child will feel, a child that succeeds at overcoming their frustrations or boredom by doing something more meaningful, how do you think they will feel? Well, they will feel good for several reasons. First of all, they are not bored or frustrated anymore because they're on to another activity.
Yeah.
2, they will be proud of themselves because you will have help them realize what they've done. And, by telling them, well, okay, so you're bored and now suddenly they're not bored anymore. So they will be proud of themselves. And it's very important here that you as a parent tell them as well that you are proud of them. And thirdly, well, they will feel they are learning new life skills. They will feel they are growing because they will be conscious of what's going to happen. So just to conclude, I mean, you can see now that what looks like a harmless answer actually has long-lasting and significant implications on your child's self-image, self-confidence, and ability for resilience. And
just to say here, we are talking more about toddlers. We're obviously not talking about younger babies or anything like that. We are talking, absolutely, what sort of age can you start to have these conversations with your children, do you think?
Well, I started with my son quite early on, I'd say between 1 and 18 months, between 12 and 18 months.
Yeah.
the earlier you start, the better, obviously, and also it's easier for the parents because you will see that when you start with little ones, so say an 18-month child, they react so well to it. So it's very encouraging for ourselves, of course. What happens is with a younger child, you won't do the whole process. So, for example, I do remember one time I was at the restaurant and we placed our order and they took forever to bring the food, and my son was starting to get quite frustrated. And all I had to do was to say to him, you are hungry, aren't you? You want to eat. That's all. Because at that age, all they need is to realize what they're feeling. Because suddenly they're like, oh, that's what I feel, and that satisfies them. Of course, later down the track, they have so much more ability to do things that, that's what I feel. What do I do about it? When they're 2.5, 3. But when they're, 18 months, that's already enough. And probably I can't remember exactly when I started, but certainly from 18 months onwards, you can start. I don't say enough, and I talked about it in another discussion with you, that children's basic needs are to feel safe and heard. Safe and heard. When they're heard, they feel safe. Ultimately, is to feel safe. But so you may have worked out through my accent that I'm French, and French people, we're very big about talking to babies. I've been talking to my baby since day one, and things that he couldn't understand, but what he could understand was the emotional message that was in my words, the peacefulness, the calmness. And so even a baby will feel heard if you're actually hearing them. So if you tell a baby, oh, you're hungry, aren't you? Well, just a minute, I need to, get ready for breastfeeding or prepare a bottle. They will feel heard. It doesn't mean they will stop crying. No. But they will feel heard.
Now, more information on our conversation today can be found at MaudBR.com. All the links are also on our website at littlerockersradio.com.au. Thanks for joining us on Little Rockers today, Maud.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Sarah.
That was Maud from MaudBR.com on Little Rockers Radio. Thanks for listening.